Welcome students. Today we are going to discuss final part of our Unit 5 New Engineering Materials in the course PH8251 Material Science. Today's topic is Nano Materials. In this lecture we are going to see two kind of nanomaterials in the name of nanoparticles, and later we are going to discuss some features about carbon nanotubes. So in this lecture we will discuss the basic definition of nanomaterials, and we will see different types of nanomaterials, and we will discuss different approaches for the production of nanomaterials, and as an example we may go through some of the important preparation methods of nanomaterials, and then we will discuss the properties and applications of this special kind of materials. Let us continue our session. As a first step, let us define what is this nanomaterial. So nanomaterials are the materials containing nanocrystals, that is the grain size of crystals present in the material may range from 1 to 100 nanometer range. So any material of any dimension which carries the value of 1 to 100 nanometers may be classified into nanomaterials. So we are already came across macromaterials, micromaterials. So this is a kind of material which is classified based on their grain size, and these nanomaterials may be a metal, a alloy, an intermetallic compound, or a ceramic, etc. So due to their unique smaller grain size and their microstructure, these nanomaterials are said to have somewhat interesting properties such as high strength, hardness, modified formability, modified toughness, and there is a modified nature of brittleness comparing to the same material which is produced with the grain size of micro or macro size. So in this kind of material we are observing a tremendous change in their characteristic feature when these materials are produced in the nanoscale. So here the size is the matters. In this whole lecture we are going to see some of the important or features of these nanomaterials. So depending on the dimension, in which dimension these products are satisfying the conditions for nanoscale, there are different forms of nanomaterials. We start with nanodots, nanoparticles, nanowires, nanocomposites, and spherical molecular shape like fullerenes, clusters, colloids, and nanostructured materials and carbon nanotubes. These are all different category of nanomaterials which is currently serving in the industry. So these nanomaterials are produced by adopting somewhat improved methods in the material science industry for the synthesis or processing. We are using some modified or improved methodology what it is already available in the market. So under this consideration, a nanomaterial can be synthesized or produced by two different approaches. They are top-down process, next one is bottom-up process. So they may be called as also top-down approach, bottom-up approach. So the two different approaches of producing nanomaterials are top-down process and bottom-up process. So what is this top-down process? So this is the kind of process where you are producing desired shape or size or structure by removing the unwanted parts from a bulk material. So this is known as a top-down approach. So you are going to produce a desired small structure from a bulk bigger structure. So this can be just imagined, or it can be given as analogy that you can make a sculpture out of a big bulk stones. So if by removing unwanted part of the stone, you can produce a desired statue like that. From a bulk material, you can remove unwanted parts from that, and by the way, you can end up with a desired structure. This is a kind of scaling down process. Next is a bottom up process. So this is the process where you are going to use a small particle or small molecules as a building blocks to produce a desired complex nanostructure. So this is like constructing a building where you are using bricks as a unit building blocks. By organizing these building blocks, and you can able to end up with a desired construction. So like that, by using small building blocks of nanoparticles or molecules together, and you will be end up with a desired structure which one is bigger than their unit ones. So this is a kind of process. It is like scaling up process where you are producing a bigger structure from a much smaller units. So these are the two type of approaches we are using to produce nanomaterials in the current scenario. By categorizing the synthesis method of nanomaterials, here we are having different examples for or different methods of producing nanomaterials. We can start up with ball milling, plasma working, chemical vapor deposition, inert gas condensation, laser synthesis, electro deposition, sol gel method, and these are all some of the methods which is widely used for the synthesis of nanomaterials of different forms. So we are going to see some of the methods which is listed here as an example, and we will go through these methods much briefly, and then we will discuss the resulting properties of these nanomaterials. The first and foremost and the oldest technique of producing nanomaterial is called ball milling. So this comes under the category of top-down approach, where you are going to produce smaller nanoparticles from a much bigger bulk materials. In ball milling, small hard balls are allowed to rotate inside the container, which is normally called as drum, and then it is made to fall on the solid with high force to crush the solid into nanocrystal. So here you will have a large number of cluster of hard balls. Into that, these materials which should be converted into nano size will be poured, and the drum allowed to rotate. During the rotation, the balls will move in opposite direction. The material which is going in between the balls will get crushed and resulting in this much smaller size of particles. So by the way, this ball milling method is adaptable for producing nano powders. Hardened steel or tungsten carbide balls are put in the container as in the figure, along with the powders of particles of desired material. The container is closed with tight lids. When the container is rotating around the central axis, the material is forced to press against the walls. The ball milling process, the milling balls impart energy on the collusion and produces small grain size of the nanoparticles. The ball milling, also called as mechanical alloying or crushing process, the resultant product of nanoparticles is going to be based on the amount of time we are spending for producing the nano powders. And the applications of this kind of ball milling techniques are useful for producing metal oxide nanocrystals, and advantages are they are inexpensive, large scale process possible, old well established method, we can able to produce the nanoparticles or nano powders up to the size of 2 to 20 nanometers. Disadvantages are the resulting powder will have irregular particle size, and there is a possibility of introduction of defects when it is not properly crushed, and there is a possibility of introduction of impurities from the ball and milling additives. So these are all the advantages and disadvantages of the method called ball milling method. This is an example of approach called top-down approach. The next method is the plasma arcing or plasma assisted deposition process, and this one is an example of producing nanomaterials by bottom-up process. So where you will end up with bulk nanostructures from adding small atoms from the zero. So plasma is nothing but an ionized gas. To produce plasma, a potential difference is applied across two electrodes. Here we are having two electrodes, anode and cathode. It will be kept at the high voltage environment. The gas at low pressure yields up its electron and get ionized. When the high voltage is applied, the gas which is filled in this container will produces electrons and get ionized. This ionized gas conducts electricity, and the electric arc is maintained between the two electrodes. A typical plasma arcing device consists of two electrodes, as I told you. When an arc is set up between two electrodes, the metal evaporates from anode as positively charged ions. These positively charged ions are attracted towards the other electrode, say cathode, where they pick up the electrons and they are deposited to form a nanoparticle. So in this method we are allowing a material to evaporate from anode and it will be deposited on the cathode. So by controlling the time of deposition and amount of electricity passing, one can control the size of the deposition. So by the way, you can able to produce nano powders, nano thin films. Film coating can be possible by using this technique. So here fundamentally we are making the atom to get liberated from the anode, and we are allowing the liberated atom to deposit on the cathode. So by deposition on the cathode, we are actually producing the desired size of the powder or film. So this is the second technique. And third one is considered to be pulse laser deposition method. This is one of the method we are generally using. This is also considered to be a physical vapor deposition, where we are using the physical means to produce individual atoms, or allowing the atom to evaporate or liberate from the target material. And here you are having a setup where the whole tube is, we are having a plasma tube where whole tube is evacuated and kept at as a vacuum situation, and we are allowing a laser light to incident on the target. By the heat produced from the laser light, the atoms in the surface of the target material will be get evaporated, and it will be attracted towards the substrate holder present inside that plasma tube, where the deposition of atom will be allowed. So by controlling the time of deposition, here also we can able to produce the desired thickness of film. So here these methods are useful for producing nano films, and this is a good old method for which is being produced, or which is being used for decades for producing the thin films. So here what we are doing, we are by controlling the temperature and vacuum pressure and time of deposition and type of substrate, we can able to produce the desired thickness of film in the substrate. So this method is considered to be one of the well established method by means of physical activity. This also considered as a physical vapor deposition method, and this also one of the example for bottom up process. And as we discussed before that, we have discussed about the physical vapor deposition method, one of the method called pulse laser ablation method. So next important method is called chemical vapor deposition method, where uh, organic materials and chemical reaction is possible by using this evaporation technique. So generally these two methods are called as vapor phase deposition process. So this vapor phase deposition technique is used to fabricate thin films, multi-layer nanotubes, nanofilaments and nano-sized particle of different materials. These materials can be organic or inorganic. So using this method it can be adopted for both organic and inorganic materials. There are generally two types of vapor phase deposition as we discussed. These are the methods which is used widely in the electrical and electronic industry. So in this lineup, now we are going to discuss the chemical vapor deposition method very shortly. So here the evaporated or vapor form of raw material will be produced by the chemical means. That's why this method is considered to be chemical vapor deposition. Here the chemical vapor deposition involves flow of gas with diffused reactant, that is substance to be deposited in the vapor over a hot substrate surface. The gas that carries the reactants is called as carrier gas. While the gas flows over the hot solid surface, the heat energy increases chemical reactions of reactants that form film during and after the reactions. The film of desired composition can thus be created over the surface of the substrate. So here the fundamental principle is, in this technique, initially the material is heated to gaseous state and then it is deposited on the solid surface under the vacuum condition to form nano powders after chemical reaction with the substrate. So in this method we can produce nano powders, nano films depending on our requirement. So here whole system is heated up with a resistant heater. So this heat will be useful for producing or keeping the substrate heat. When the reactant gas is flow through this tube, that will get reacted with the substrate and it will get deposited on the surface of the substrate, and byproduct can be pumped out from the system. So this is a small process we are using in the case of chemical vapor deposition process. Now let us pass on to that area of properties of these nanomaterials. So the nanomaterials having wide range of improved properties. So let us see what are all the effect of reducing the particle size from one by one from their micro size in the area one by one. In the case of physical properties, since the particles are small in size, that will reduces interparticle spacing, so there is no further possibility of breakage. They have high strength and super hardness, and there will not be no dislocations due to their smaller particle size, and melting point also goes high due to the smaller particle size. In electronic properties, the energy band will be very narrow, ionization potential found to be higher than its micro size particles. When these nanomaterials are produced as a bulk product, that will have more localized molecular bondings, and that will make material show hard and strong. And these nanomaterials are capable of storing hydrogen atom, which makes this is a future prospect for fuel requirement. And magnetically, they will possess large magnetic moment and exhibit spontaneous magnetization in a smaller sizes. So giant magnetoresistance effect. Next, let us see the applications in the area oriented. So in mechanical engineering industry, these nanomaterials are used to make hard materials. So as we told, since the materials are having very smaller grain size, so this will result very hard materials comparing to the conventional one. The smart magnetic fluids are used in vacuum seals, magnetic separators. They are also used in giant magnetoresistance spin values, and nano MEMS, microelectronic mechanical systems, are used in ICs, optical switches, pressure sensors, mass sensor, etc. So we are having nano lithographic technology for producing such micro level devices. In the case of electrical and electronics and communication engineering, orderly assembled nanomaterials are used as quantum electronic devices and photonic crystals. The nanomaterials are used as sensing elements, and molecular nanomaterials are used to design the robots, assemblers, etc. Used in energy storage devices such as hydrogen storage devices, magnetic refrigeration, and in ionic batteries. Dispersed nanomaterials are used in magnetic recording devices, rocket propellant, solar cells, fuel cells, etc. Recently, nanorobots were designed which are used to remove damaged cancer cells and also to modify the neuron network in human body. In computer science and IT industry, nanomaterials are used to make CDs and semiconductor lasers used to store information in smaller chips, and they are used in mobiles, laptops, etc. Further, they are used in chemical optical computers also. So by using this nanomaterials in the case of optical storage devices, the storing capacity of the device with respect to the area becomes drastically changed. It makes the device becomes smaller and smaller. In biomedical and chemical engineering, consolidated state nanoparticles are used as catalyst electrodes in solar and fuel cells. Biosensitive nanomaterials are used in production of DNA, chips, a biosensor, etc. Nanostructured ceramic materials are used in synthetic bones. Few nanomaterials are also used in absorbent, self-cleansing glass, fuel additives, drugs, ferrofluids, paints, so far, etc. We have discussed the general properties and applications of nanomaterials. So now let us focus our consideration in a particular type of nanomaterial called nanotubes, carbon nanotubes. So carbon nanotubes are molecular scale tube of graphitic carbon. They are among the stiffest and strongest fiber researched till date with remarkable electronic properties and applications. So carbon nanotubes are generally produced from C60 in a simple arc evaporation apparatus. We have come across plasma arcing technique, and carbon nanotube is a tubular form of carbon with diameter as small as 1 nanometer and length few nanometer to microns. So we can produce these carbon nanotubes from two fundamental materials. One is from pure graphite, and from the another allotrope of carbon C60, that is C60, which is called as buckyball, where it is having the hexagon and pentagonal atomic arrangements. And based on their structure, fundamental structure, these carbon nanotubes are three types. They are: number one, armchair structure; number two is zigzag structure; and number three is chiral structure. So depending on their geometrical arrangement, carbon nanotube structures are, I am repeating, armchair structure, zigzag structure, and chiral structure. And the carbon nanotubes are fundamentally classified as single wall carbon nanotubes and multi-wall carbon nanotubes, and depending on the layers of roles present in the system, and it can be metallic or semiconducting depending on their geometry of rotation, whether it is zigzag type or a chiral type or armchair type. Their conducting nature also get. And in the case of single wall carbon nanotubes, they have the diameter of 2 nanometer with tube length of 100 nanometer. General description: the structure of single wall nanotube can be achieved by wrapping one atom thick layer of graphite into seamless cylinder. So multi-wall carbon nanotube is also having a same dimension. It consists of multi layers of graphite sheet rolled to form a tube shape with many concentric carbon cylinders present in the tube. And these are all the general properties of carbon nanotubes. They are strongest and flexible, and they have high elastic property and high strength to weight ratio. So nowadays we are using these carbon nanotubes for producing many lightweight body works. These materials are used in production of composites to produce body structure works for race cars, aircraft, and other many many industrial applications, and they have high thermal and electrical conductivity. So these materials are used as a conducting media when we are trying to produce a miniaturized electronic circuits or chips. And electronic properties can be changed by external magnetic field, and they have very high current carrying capacity, and then high amount of field emission at small tips. So these are all the general properties of carbon. Based on their properties, and carbon nanotubes are nowadays widely researched and widely putting in the application. And the nanometer size semiconductor devices and interconnects are nowadays, which is produced from carbon nanotubes, as I told you earlier, and devices for energy storage and energy conversion in the case of hydrogen fuels, and sensor, fuel cells, lithium ion batteries. Everywhere these carbon nanotubes are found applications and used as a as I told you earlier, it is also used in hydrogen storage devices. So in this carbon nanotubes are found alternative for tungsten filaments in incandescent lamps, and they are very light in weight. They are used in aerospace industry for the production of many components and for their body works everywhere. These carbon nanotubes are find its applications. So with this discussion, here we are going to end our discussion on unit 5. Let us summarize this unit. So for the simple understanding, in this unit we have discussed different kind of new engineering materials which is synthesized from our laboratory. We have started our discussion with ceramics, and we have discussed about the different types of ceramics and their properties and application. Then we have transferred our discussion to composites, where we discussed about the key points of composites, and we have discussed how these composites can be produced and what are all the different types of composites and what their applications in different areas. Then we have transferred our discussion to the third kind of material called metallic glasses, where we are had a brief discussion about metallic glass, and then we have started to discuss important features about shape memory alloys, and finally today we have discussed about the fundamental features of nanomaterials, and here we are concluding the prescribed syllabus for Anna University in the case of unit 5 for the paper Material Science PH 8251. Thank you.